down in the two-seater. She hopped in, drunk smile, said it's good to see you. What you thinking about skipping downtown tonight? Race the coupe back home, grab the four-wheel drive, kicking Church Rock Road up to a tree line. Stop and look at her and say, ready? Better hold on tight. Let me show you my countryside through these old headlights. We can take this road as far as you want to go. I'll show you how a country mile can take us all night. Feeling high in the full tail up an old dirt road. I ain't gonna run no hide. We can let the fire burn wild. That's just my countryside. We post up on the bank, drop a tailgate, windows down in the cab, pumping George Strait. We paid a couple lines and we flow them on out. Red Bible ripple bouncing on a cool night. Fire dancing, making shadows in the moonlight. She leaves in close in the bed of my truck. Now still, let me show you my countryside through these old headlights. We can take this road as far as you want to go. I'll show you how a country mile can take us all night. Feeling high in the bulls and tail up an old dirt road. I ain't gonna run no hide. We can let the fire burn wild. That's just my countryside. Old headlights. We can take this road as far as you want to go. I'll show you how a country mile can take us all night. Feeling high in the bulls and tail up an old dirt road. I ain't gonna run no hide. We can let the fire burn wild. My countryside.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to May Contain Fishing Live. How's it, Mike?
Not too bad, man. I'm kind of excited to get this going. I know we've been kind of working out a little bit. It's gonna be
It's been in
fun
the
little
works
venture for us.
So it's been in the works for a couple of weeks. We finally got it finalized, got everything going. Hello, Frank. Welcome aboard the American Angler Outdoors. So we're just going to talk fishing. How about that, man?
Works for me, dude. I've actually been a bit since I've been fishing. Unfortunately, it was cold. So
yeah, I've been trying to get a lot of stuff done for the blog and videos edited and published and things for that. Just want to remind the folks over on Facebook, hit StreamYard.com/Facebook. That's StreamYard.com/Facebook. So we can see your comments. If you're on the Facebook side, YouTube, if you're on the YouTube side, we should be able to see who comments. Facebook's just kind of finicky with getting everything.
yeah, it's a weird privacy rule, guys. In case you're wondering, basically it just says Facebook user, even if you do comment, and then we have no idea who you are. And we want to be able to talk to you guys. I will admit, I'm going to say right off the top of the show, guys, I've been sick, so I'm going to be doing more moderating than talking. I'm going to talk as much as I can as long as the voice holds up, but the benefit to that is going to be if you guys have any questions, want to ask stuff, throw it up in the chat, and I will be kind of actively monitoring that and answering those questions as we go.
So sure enough, as always, everybody welcome to the show, and hopefully y'all will join us every other Thursday for the show. We'll keep everybody in touch. We'll post things on social media. Make sure you like Mike's YouTube page, my YouTube page as well, so that you'll get comment. You'll be able to get highlights and go back and watch the video if you missed it and things like that.
Yep.
So, Mike, tell me how the fishing's been up north, man.
Dude, where do I begin? This year, it seems like, and that's actually part of the thing that I think I love about fishing, is it seems like every year this statement always seems to be true, but this year is weird. You know what I mean? So what happened up here is we have gotten record rainfall to the point where we had mass flooding and roads completely devastated, things like that. So we went from like 80 plus degree water temps down to mid 70s, like 7-10 degree drops, and even big like 1,000-acre lakes. So as weird as it is, you guys are probably hitting what, fall transition at this point?
We're not hitting quite yet. Our water temperature is still we fished a little Derby Sunday, so our water temperature there was like 87.7 degrees. So and the air temperature was still low 90s. So we probably won't get there until maybe two weeks out from now.
Gotcha.
We do have some. Our nighttime air has only been getting down to like 70, 71 degrees. So hopefully that air temperature in the nighttime will start dipping a little bit.
Yeah.
Make the water a little cooler. Places I fish, I call the fall transition when the water temperature drops below 80 degrees.
Okay. Yep.
Yep. So
for us, it's more 70. So
right.
80, 85 is about as hot as our water gets, unless you're talking like some ponds I fish where the max depth is like 10 feet. Yeah, it's going to get hotter than that. But what's weird is when I was fishing on Sunday, water temps were 78. But it's been like 90 degrees with 90% humidity for the last 3 days here. And so we're like back on the incline of our temperature instead of our fall, which is weird because you would think we would be closer to the fall transition than you guys at this point, because we've basically had cool water all year. But what's been weird about the fishing here is like we went like from ice out. So literally one of my favorite lakes that I fish went from ice out to spawn in 2 weeks. Like I found fish on beds 2 weeks after ice out. Like we just went stupid hot all of a sudden. And then all of a sudden we started getting all this rain, all this flooding, all this runoff. And our lakes aren't like, you know, Michigan Great Lakes clear, but visibility is pretty decent. And almost every lake that I fish is tannic. So I'm kind of learning how to fish like you fish. Like right. I'm kind of learning how to do like the dirty water southern fishing now, because our fish have never really had to fish by or eat by lateral line. And the water has had so much runoff, and all the clay from the banks is just in the lake now that they're so stained that these fish are having to learn how to effectively use their lateral lines. Right. So it's screwing me up, because this time of year for me is usually wacky rig, Ned rig. I can usually get up shallow and throw literally a wacky rig Senko against lily pads and catch a fish. Not even bragging, like there's places that I normally can go and I can be like, that lily pad, there's going to be a 3-pounder, because there's a 3-pounder on that lily pad every day for the last 5 years. And they're not there because I don't think the fish know how to react to the water clarity. So they're just like, they're hitting stuff that's weird, and I'm having to get creative on, I'm having to use, like normally I stop using like rattle square bills this time of year because there's so much pressure that usually that scares them away. Yeah, I'm using louder baits than I normally would. So it's a really weird like year, because all of my like instincts are to do a certain type of fishing, but the water clarity is just not allowing for it.
Yeah. So you talking about water clarity? A lot of our rivers down here, just a little bit of runoff will get them dirty because
Yep.
we have these southern thunderstorms that come through
Yep.
during the summertime, and they'll get a lot of runoff from the farms and stuff like that, and get into the creeks, and the creeks flow into the river. So we throw a lot of chartreuse and white
Yep.
stuff, and a lot of spinner baits, a lot of
Yep.
stuff that puts off a flash. You're talking about willow blades, Colorado blades.
Yeah, I actually started. I normally see my go-to, like, it's kind of a reaction, kind of a finesse. My go-to bait is usually like a small 3.8 Kayak. I start with that because everything eats it, right? So it helps me tell if there's fish there. That's not working because it's not loud enough and it's not bright enough, even in a bright color. So I've had to go to like an underspin for that reason, because I need that extra vibration, that extra flash. So I've never really had a ton of success on spinner baits or underspins. And this year I've caught a lot more fish on them. It's just, like you said, it's that whole, you have to activate all their senses. You can't just do their sight, because normally, like I said, they can see 6 feet. I can see 3 feet down. I don't know how wide they can see, but I'm assuming it's roughly the same. So they can't see that little tiny subtle paddle tail in that tannic water. So I got to give them something vibrating to see it. And that's what's been tricky for me, because like I said, it's actually been good, because personally the reason why I love fishing is because you can go to the same lake every day for a week. It's not going to be the same experience every day for that week. It's just fish change. I heard one guy say on a podcast, which kind of made me laugh, was it's kind of like football, except for our ball is alive and can make decisions.
Yeah.
So it makes it, and that's what's fun about it. But it's been a challenge for me as well, because I'm not used to using a lot of those baits. So I've been having to step around my comfort zone to find these baits that actually are working for it.
Yeah, that's like Sunday when I fished that derby. The water clarity was there. The water clarity was up to 4 to 5 foot, and the way this thing was designed, this little pond that we were fishing, it's an old bar pit. So it's where they dug dirt out of to make a highway. That's what we call a bar pit.
Yep. We got a lot of.
So this thing was shallow on the sides, and all of a sudden it dropped to 17 foot.
Yep.
I'm talking about probably 2 foot, and then dropped.
Yep.
So it had lily pads around it. So I started fishing the lily pads with a crankbait, Strike King Hybrid Hunter at that. And
dude, those are awesome.
And so I was fishing the drop, hoping the fish, the fish to spin right there on the drop, 3 to 4 foot, and you could crank it right over their face, and they react. Well, I didn't do that, so I went back to the good old finesse technique, shaky head, and caught my first one on a shaky head. 2 minutes later, caught another one, and I didn't put a shaky head down the rest of the day.
See, so, that's a technique. That's another one that's funny. I tried a shaky head. I actually had those worms you sent me.
Mm-hmm.
I tried some of those, and for some reason I can't even get that to work. Like normally, my break glass in case of emergency is like drag a big worm, throw a football jig on the bottom. I don't even literally drag it. What I do is I point my kayak sideways, I wing the thing out, and I just let the current pull me. I just let the current naturally take me where it's going to take me, and just hold my rod horizontal and let the rod and the nature do the dragging. Because a lot of times I feel like that makes it more like my kayak is going where the current is going. The crawdad is going to follow the current too, so it kind of makes it more natural. And dude, they're not I'm getting bites on the weirdest things, and I'm also catching like perch. I'm catching like 6-inch perch on swim jigs. Like it's almost impossible to get the hook out of its mouth without breaking its jaw, because you can't. I've got a 4-aught, swim jig hook. I got a 6 cents Divine swim jig in a mouth this big. And I'm like, I don't even know how to unhook you, dude, because this hook is all the way back into your gill plate. But yeah, it's just starting to get better. And the other thing that sucks, and I don't know if they do that down by you, but a couple of the lakes by me, they spray every year. And it sucks. It screws the fish up like royally for about a month.
Yeah, a lot of the smaller places we fish are ran by like county government people.
Okay.
So they just don't have the money to spray. So and I don't even think the state of Georgia's DNR, their Department of Natural Wildlife, even sprays the big lakes.
That's crazy. I wish that was the case here.
And I can't even start with knowing the last time the state of Georgia sprayed a lake.
Dude, I should show you pictures. What aggravates me, and I'm going to get on a soapbox, and it's something that if you guys watch this live stream, it's going to come up a lot. But, like, they spray because of one reason. It's not for the fishing. It's not for the lake. It's because some landowners get pissy because their shoreline is not pristine. On a lake that has never been pristine. Like, this lake, specifically one of the ones that I complain about the most, is so well known that when I fish tournaments in Massachusetts, it's on their list of lakes that you can't put your kayak in and then fish their lakes. That's how many invasives this lake has. It's got fleas, zebra mussels, Eurasian milfoil, you name it. This lake has it. But that's what actually honestly makes it a great bass lake, because the bass will eat the freaking zebra mussels. They don't give a crap about the flies. They love milfoil, and the only places that don't have milfoil are all pads. Dude, it's like bass heaven. Now, granted, I get that there has to be a point where you intervene because you will have the whole lake turn into a hay meadow. I understand that. But there's divers, there's dredgers that don't affect the water. But when they spray, every single time they spray, I see catfish belly up.
Yeah, I think the spray actually takes the oxygen out of the water, doesn't it?
So what I learned, I did some research on it because I wanted to be educated when I rant. So when people yell at me in the comments, I can defend myself, honestly. So the spray itself doesn't. What the spray does is it blocks the sunlight. So what the spray does is it actually, depends on which one they use. Some of the spray is literally basically just glorified food coloring, but it has some component to it that makes it stay in place. There's another spray that actually sinks to the bottom and actually just gets on the plants, and it weighs the plants down and it just basically kills them. But what happens is Eurasian milfoil, when it dies, sucks oxygen out of the water. So you can imagine I've got a bay that's probably 40 acres worth of like perimeter that's all dying at the same time. That's also the bay where the majority of the bluegill spawn is, where the crappie live, where the pike live, where all the fry hatch. That's where the bass spawn in the spring. So like it's the mecca of where all the life is in this lake, and then everything else is super deep. So when that dies, because they spray that section every year, the bass go off, and they just sometimes they never come back. But a lot of times it takes like a month, in my experience, before I start catching anything again anywhere in that whole lake. And it's like it's every lake that I've fished that I've had that experience. It's not just like this one place. It's like, and the thing is, that place, they sprayed it in July, right? I can't pedal from the access 40 yards without cleaning out my drive. So how effective is it?
Yeah.
It's got grass coming through the surface of the water already again. So what did they accomplish? That's my problem.
Appeasing that landowner.
And that's what it is, dude. And again, it's hard to complain because technically the landowners pay taxes and they're on the water, so they have say because they have money in the game. But I buy fishing licenses that maintain that boat ramp that I'm launching from, and I can't say don't spray this section of the lake. There's only 4 camps on that section of the lake, but that's the one they spray. And I'm like, But I don't know. I'll stop my soapbox on that. It's just something that irritates me because I'm like, I don't understand the logic behind it. I've actually been trying to get a biologist on to explain what it could do to the fish, so I understand.
With spraying in mind, I don't even think they sprayed Gunnersville. I don't even think they and that lake is.
If they were going to do
it,
I haven't even seen that lake in person, but I've seen enough video of that lake. Yeah, if they're going to spray any of them, it should be that one.
No, because because that's such a big bass factory over there. Is the bass fishermen will literally pitch a fit like a 2-year-old not getting the candy off the shelf.
We had a lake here, a local lake, Lake Bombazine. It's actually one that a lot of the pros, when they come up here, Brian Latimer, BLAT actually fished it on YouTube a couple of years ago when they were up here for Champlain, and he was pulling monsters out of there. And that lake is the only one in the state that the town banded together and said, "You're not spraying our lake anymore." They made them dredge it. They're just like, we're gonna veto any permit. We're gonna protest. We're gonna throw a fit. And I just wish more towns would do that, because I'm not saying don't get rid of the grass. I'm just saying that you could literally pay someone to run a dredger and probably cost less. And it's less, you're not putting a chemical in the water, because the thing is they say it's not harmful, but
it is. If
it's not harmful, then why does the sign that warns me a week ahead of time tell me that my dog can't drink it? That's kind of my gauge. If a dog can't drink it, it's freaking harmful, because a dog will eat its own crap.
That's right.
A dog will drink out of a mud puddle that's been baking in the sun for 6 weeks and be perfectly fine. If a dog can't drink it, it's harmful. So.
Yeah, and I'm kind of glad that the states and the local governments don't spray lakes. I know one government, but they went in there with this new machinery that just picks up the grass.
Yep.
On the front, and it just puts it on the bank.
Yeah, that's what they had to do at Bombazine. It basically is like a conveyor belt.
Yeah.
It pulls it out and it shoots it out the back.
Yeah. Lake Mayor in Savannah. We fished that a lot. And it was just so grassy, I guess, with a unhealthy grass / algae.
Yep.
It was just gritty black. So they went in there and just took all this stuff out and threw it up on the banks and then picked it up and took it off. But
what's funny is they use it as fertilizer. Apparently it makes really good plant fertilizer.
Probably so. I guess all the nutrients in it, but it's just so hard to fish it.
Yeah, dude, that's the one thing I will say is, as much as I go on a soapbox about it, it is probably one of the most frustrating things to fish, because you'll be reeling a lipless or any type of bait that you're fishing with fluorocarbon, and you'll feel a tug and you'll think it's a fish, but what it is it's like a stalk. You'll hook a stalk and the stalk will rebound, so it'll feel like it's pulling back like a fish, and you'll swing on that, but you're basically taking your fluorocarbon and rubbing it on sandpaper when you go to set that hook, and you break off and you end up leaving because it feels just like a bite, but the stalks on it are so thick that it just rips I'm using 12, 14 pound. I'm not using heavy, 20 plus pound fluorocarbon, because I'm not really fishing the grass. So
yeah, majority fluorocarbon I use is 12.
Yeah, that's the thing I found is 12 you can cast it. Anything above 12, it gets a little bird's nesty real fast.
It does.
So I prefer.
I know a lot of people going just back to mono. Some of that mono stuff is built like fluorocarbon now, so a lot of guys are starting to go back to mono. And
I play with old school. If you probably have heard of it, but I use a Maxima Ultra Green a lot, dude. It's a copolymer. So what it is it's a copolymer. So it's mono wrapped in fluorocarbon, but it's got green tint to it. So it makes it blend in better, because it's still mono, so it doesn't have the clarity that a fluorocarbon has. So they tint it just the slightest tint of green, but it's got a little bit of stretch like a mono. So I vary it up. kind of going with what you said the theme of the video is going to be, like this time of year, that's one of the things that I change up is I will start throwing more leaders.
Yeah.
Because those fish get a little bit more finicky. For me, it's kind of the dog days of summer, almost into the fall. So those fish have been beat up a lot with pressure. So we're not getting into that like feed bag stage yet where they will, eat a Coors Light can. It doesn't really matter. So then I start tying on and I don't tie on like huge leaders. I'll tie like a 16, 18 inch like mono leader just to give me that shock absorber for treble hooks, but also to give it a little clearness between the bait, and my braid. Because I run braid to leader on everything. It's very rare. I mean, I only run 2 rods that I run like straight clear line with. But.
Well, I run everything. I run braid and leaders on all my spinning gear.
Yeah.
And then on my bait casters, I run everything fluorocarbon.
Okay.
Except my punching rod or my heavy rod.
Right.
I've got it straight braid. Because I'm fixing to start throwing a lot of actually buzz baits now.
Okay.
With the fall transition coming in the state of Georgia and all that, and getting a little bit. Hopefully, that water temperature start getting cooler next week, and got some nice. I would say springy couple days next week. High temperatures in the 80s, low temperatures maybe 68, 69. But the rivers have been blown out because of the past hurricane we had.
Right.
2 of the rivers are getting back into levels where we can fish them, which are smaller rivers, the Hoopy and the Canducci. So I'm taking some time next week from work and going to hit at least one of the 2 rivers with some top water.
So on that thought, buzz baits, is there a specific brand that you prefer? I've had, being up here, I have a lot of pike where I fish, a lot of pike and pickerel, and that's the only thing I seem to be able to catch on a freaking buzz bait. So I've kind of like not spent a lot of time with it because I get irritated with it because I'm constantly pulling. Pike love top water. I don't know what it is about it, but they prefer top water. But I haven't really been able to really get honestly, a lot of times they get broke off, so I haven't invested a lot of money in them. But I kind of want to try it because it is something that I use. Like on the contrary, I use a lot of Zoom horny toads, but I just don't use. I use them just as a buzz toad, not an actual buzz bait.
Yeah, sorry about all this. I'm trying to get my buzz baits.
I know, you're good.
Some of this stuff is custom, and I've just replaced the skirts on some of this stuff. Like we threw.
Okay. Yeah, pretty standard.
We like for this spinner to clack like crazy down here.
Okay.
The more noise it makes, the better it is.
Okay.
This one's kind of.
I've heard stories. I've heard stories of guys like taping them to their antennas in their trucks and driving down the road with them.
Oh yeah, to get it. The more it gets wore out, the better it. If you can hear that squeaky.
Yeah.
But this one's been used so much that the ball's missing on the front half here.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right off.
Now I have gone to a 3-blade.
See, I've seen those, and those look like, to me, it just looks like a good way to get tangled when it's,
a 3-blade. See that 3-blade?
And that doesn't want to roll over when it gets in the water?
No. No, it's just not loud enough for me, though. I might throw this in a pond or a lake or something at night if I'm night fishing.
Yeah.
But this is one thing that I kind of like this one, and I hate to say who it's made by, and I hate to say it's in my tackle box because I don't like the guys that that throw all this YouTube mess up because I have my take on some of the places they fish.
I have an idea what you're talking about. Yep.
Can you guess who it is made by?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But
What's
overall,
funny is I had a spinnerbait made by them that fell apart. So I have kind of a similar opinion on
but
some
yeah,
of their stuff.
it's overall, I like the shaft on it from here to here.
Yep.
Because especially when we call them jackfish or chain pickerel, it's almost like a pike.
Same thing.
They come up and hit this thing, and they're taking that into their mouth. If this is set back, this is long.
They're only getting the end of the blade instead of the whole blade. Yeah.
They're messing up your blade.
See, that's what happens to me a lot is because we have both here. We have chain pickerel, and then we have, which is funny, dude. That's another thing that's like my fishing ignorance. Up until I started doing the Jigs and Bigs multi-species tournament, I didn't know what a pickerel was. I thought a pickerel was a pike. Like, I didn't know there was a different species because they don't look that much different until you actually look at them.
A pike's got a shorter, flatter, longer nose, right?
So a pike's more like a duckbill shape.
Yeah, that's right.
Whereas like your pickerel, they have a narrower, they're more streamlined. And the pattern down the side is different. Like a chain pickerel literally looks like a chain link fence down the side of their body. Pike just has dots. And I didn't, to be honest, like I said, I had no idea. I honestly thought a lot of times I was just catching pike because I was never taking a lot of time because I was never really targeting them until I started doing a tournament where you had to catch one of each. So like I was just like a lot of times, honestly, I didn't even boat them. I would just get them to the side of the boat and I'd grab my pliers and grab on my bait and just shake them off. I didn't even want them in my boat because like when I'm in my bass boat, that you get that pike smell in your carpet and it's never coming off of your carpet. Like your boat smells like pike for like a week.
That's something I've never caught as a pike. I've always caught.
They're very pike are just slightly bigger. Well, I can't say slightly. They're significantly bigger overall. They're just a little bit more aggressive, but they have the same type of fight and same type of temperament as a pickerel. They're just bigger, basically. We actually have hybrids here too now. So like there's actually some like weird hybrid between the two,
right,
where they'll have a big face but be really small in the body, which really looks weird. But they that's the only thing I've ever caught on a buzzbait. Do you use a trailer or do you just fish them straight up with just a skirt?
I just fish them in the rivers. I just fish them straight up without a trailer on it. And even in ponds or small reservoirs, I'll throw it without a trailer. It's just because the loud clacking noise.
Blades enough, yeah.
Yeah, they're just
because I've actually found that with spinnerbaits too. Like sometimes I don't think you even need a trailer with a spinnerbait because you've got enough going on above it and the skirt's flaring underneath.
Now I will throw, say, on this chartreuse spinnerbait I got right here. The chartreuse one.
Yep.
It's got two willow blades on it, one gold and one silver. Now I will throw a small Kayak, or some type of swim bait on the back of that, just to give it more, a little bit more tail action on it. But other than that, on the buzz baits, I don't throw trailers on it. I tell you, a good guy to watch. He fishes the Satilla River down South Georgia. Is Georgia Boy Outdoors. Craig James, I believe is his name, and he writes for GON as well, Georgia Outdoor News. Him and his son, they tear him up in the Satilla River on the buzzbait. So watch some of his videos.
I gotta check it out. And it's funny because like I get into like some of these weird, like I've been playing around with what the hell is that called? The hover rig a little bit. But I don't know if you've seen that thing yet.
The hover rig.
So it's literally this right here. I actually have one right here. So it's basically it's kind of like a belly weighted hook. If I can get out of the damn package. So it's basically like
okay.
It's so
Mickey rig.
It's a lot like the Demiki rig, and what it is it puts the weight in the center of the bait. So you're supposed to use like a bait that's longer than this, so it's supposed to pendulum, and then you shake it, and it kind of has like a jerk bait kind of deal where it suspends, and then a lot of guys will use like flukes with them,
right,
to try to suspend it. And I've been playing around with that. I've been playing around with a lot of different like stuff. And the other thing is, and as you know, like doing YouTube stuff, sometimes it's just, if you make something that's weird, like one of my best videos, speaking of a buzzbait, was I got bored one day and I hooked a Berkeley gilly on the back of a buzzbait and I bent it a little bit to make it stay down. And dude, I was killing fish on it. And I was like, I don't think anybody's putting a freaking Berkeley gilly on a buzzbait. Like, it's just not something that you do. But I just happened to buy a bunch of them. It's something I'd seen at iCast and I wanted to try it. And it like that was a popular video. So sometimes I'll like do random stuff because sometimes, like, going back to our theme, you know, sometimes doing something weird is something that no one else is doing. And those fish have seen 150 black and blue Senkos. They've seen, you know, the same. Let's be honest, you go to the tackle stores locally, they're going to have the same 15 colors of straight king square bills. They're going to have the same. Everybody's got their regional stuff that everybody uses. So you start throwing something that technically works, but is weird. The fish are going to be like, oh, that can't be a human because it's not what I've seen 15 times today.
That's like, I can't think of the dang rig. Hang on. Let me go back into it. Because I was thinking about throwing this the other day, and the free rig. You ever heard of the free rig?
Yep.
Another fisherman here in South Georgia, Seth Carter. Shout out to him. He owns Satilla Feed Outdoors down around Waycross. He was throwing the free rig in the Satilla River, and they were much
current. I could see with the free rig around me again. I have so much grass.
Yeah.
The free rig helicopters, and then it gets into the grass, and then I can never get it back out. But in current, I can see where that would be excellent because that line's going to be able to kind of feed out a little bit once that weight hits the bottom.
Yeah.
It's going to kind of go down out and away from the bait, especially if you use like a Z-Man plastic.
Yeah,
it's going to allow that bait to float up. That's definitely something that I would try.
I'm gonna try it in the river. I'm gonna try it here.
I mean, dude, it's honestly what we used to call. It's funny how like stuff comes about because when I was a kid, we used to throw. We called a bullhead rig, which is a drop shot, and that was 20 plus years ago. You know, so it's like nobody was really throwing a drop shot then, but we used to tie a bullet sinker, a regular barrel, like a same drop shot weight you're tying now, like the teardrop style with the loop on it. And we used to tie that to a snelled eagle claw hook on the other end and give it like a little bit so it would keep your worm up off the bottom. It was basically a power shot is what it was.
Yeah. We
didn't know it as that. We called it a bullhead rig, and it was just purely to get the damn worm from sinking into the silt and all the sediment on the bottom of the places that we were fishing, because we were fishing for bullhead and catfish, and let's be honest, where they live, the bottom's murky, you know. And then, you know, 20 years later, I get into bass fishing, and they're like, "Have you tried the drop shot?" And I'm like, "That's a fucking bullhead rig." Like, I've been doing that since I was like. That's what's funny when you grow up fishing is like I was talking to a guy at the ramp the other day, and he was kind of laughing at me, but I don't think he realized I was serious because he was like, he watched me back my trailer up. I was just tying stuff up. I was actually making videos for YouTube. He's like, "Man, you could just sit there and talk to a camera while tying all those knots." And I'm like, "You got to understand, dude. I learned how to tie a polymer knot before I learned how to tie my shoes. Like I was a fisherman's son, man. There's pictures of me and my dad's 17-foot Sylvan open bow in my car seat.
Well,
like, if you go fishing, that's what you do.
If you look to the mid 80s or even the 80s, 80 to 85, you know, people were Texas rigging, spinner bait, and some type of crankbait.
That was it.
That was it.
And even crankbaits were those like hand carved balsa stuff coming out of Tennessee, and you weren't buying Strike King KVD at your local Walmart. It was these homemade balsa wood stuff that guys were carving.
And then you look like Gary Yodomoto, whatever his
Yamamoto,
is, coming out with a Cinco.
Dude, that's the funniest bait if you think about, like, we have literally sonar that faces forward. We have guys with kayaks like Bailey Eibret from Serious Anglers. The dude's got $16,000 in his kayak, in electronics and equipment and everything. And to be honest, the funniest thing is, I probably caught more fish on a 5-inch Senko-like bait than any other bait that I have in my arsenal. And I have,
you can rig it, Nike rig, Texas rig, weightless.
I have it all. But yeah, dude. Well, that's the thing. So it's funny because, like you say, what's different about that bait is that a square bow, let me fish 3 ways: fast, slow, or stop and start.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Senko, Carolina rig, Texas rig, Lackey rig. You can cut it down and Ned rig it.
There you go. Cut the tail. I was fixing to say that. Cut the tail off after you catch about 20 fish on it, and there you go. You got a Ned rig to throw on your next spin.
That's honestly the 2 most versatile baits are paddle tail swim bait and a worm.
Yeah,
is what I do with my Kitex when the bluegills eat the tails off of my drop shot them.
Yeah,
it's the same profile as that like Demiki rig. It's the same profile as half of those little shad style or fluke style drop shot baits.
Yeah,
and so, like the longer ones, if you fish like the like rage swimmers, like the 5-inch rage swimmers, and they bite the tail off of it, I put that behind a chatterbait. Yeah, because the chatterbait vibrates it enough that it flicks that stub, and it still has a big beefy profile.
That's right.
So like, honestly, one of the sneakiest baits, I actually have some right here. These right here, it's still a worm, but those rattlesnake worms, so they're actually like a centipede looking thing. Those are about the only variant of a worm that I fish, but I've caught more fish on this little tiny worm, French fry worm is another name for them, than I've caught on any other bait that I've ever used. And the thing is it works in the wintertime, it works in the summertime, it works in the springtime. I've caught fish just for the hell of it through the ice with a wacky rig. I've literally thrown a black and blue Senko on an ice rig and caught fish on it.
Right.
So
yeah, there's a lot of plastics in the world now that can be used for 3 or 4 or 5 different type fishing. I want to give a shout out to Shane Flint Outdoors. He just joined the live. If y'all don't know Shane, he's got a YouTube channel as well. I want to give a shout out to him. He does Wednesday night lives on his channel. So, and he also does some online tournaments as well.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah. I just want to give out a shout out to him since he joined.
You're going to have a lot of tournament world coming up soon.
So, it's talking about trying to see if I got one over here.
Now, do you have, that's one thing I always like to ask guys. Do you have like are you I have to use a Yamamoto, or are you the guy like me that's like, I'll buy a Yum Dinger because I can get a 30-pack for what it costs for 10?
Yeah, look in this bag. There's hand poured stuff here.
Yeah.
Berkeley power baits.
Yeah.
Golly, I've got a whole packet. You remember I got all that Z-Man stuff. So you really, all that Z-Man stuff I sent you, that's just half of it. That is just half of it. Let me grab my other bag right here. I'll show you. So I call this my river bag now.
Yep.
Courtesy of Georgia Wildlife, I won their Angler of the Year.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
Here's
cool.
the article they wrote up.
Is it like a pin thing? We have to catch certain species, or is it just?
Yeah, they have certain species. They have a whole angler program.
Yeah, we have one
For
here.
kids
It's like
to adults.
Yeah, we have one here. It's like you get a pin for each one that you catch over a certain size and up, and then if you catch so many of them, yeah.
Yeah. Welcome, little Rich. So what I was going to show you, Mike, this is what I caught all my fish on Derby days. On the Derby.
Yeah.
Just
Yep.
That's one of the death dealer trick worms. Put that on his shaky head and just shook away. Shout out to Tim Williams down in Florida.
See, I suck at shaky head, but I would wacky rig the crap out of that and throw it on a wacky too, because that opposite end, when you wacky rig stuff like that, because the bulbous on one end, it tends to fall a little wonky, and it makes it works really good. I do that a lot with Berkeley flatworm, same deal.
Yeah.
Everybody drop shots it, but I wacky rig it. Another little trick I do, if you want to get like a little bit slower fall, if you think like they're just not wanting it and you want to piss them off and hang it in their face, cut a Senko in half. So it makes it just a flat, thin strip.
Yeah.
What it will do is it'll flatten out and it will make it really slowly fall, because that flat part catches that water more. And it basically falls so slowly that it pisses you off. So if you drop it up under a dock, or if bass is just sitting there watching this thing just like really slowly, they just get mad and lash out at it because they just want it out of their face.
Yeah. Hey, thank you, Facebook user. We don't know who you are, but if you go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, you can get your picture put up there so we who you are.
Absolutely.
Little Rich says, "Imaginary lovers," so the song goes on.
That's funny.
So yeah, it's hopefully the fall bike down here gets going in about another 2-3 weeks. That way I can get out there and get some fall stuff going for sure.
Dude, I've been so sick that I'm taking doxycycline, and you're not supposed to be in the sun when you take that crap.
Yeah.
And I've been back and forth debating on, I still want to fish on Saturday. Like, part of me still wants to go out. So I'm thinking what I might do is take the boat out and do a topwater bite and hit like that 3 to dark deal where it's not as sunny and I can cover up. And then I've been getting on, and that's what actually is making me the saddest about it, is that whole lake I was telling you about. It's all pads with a narrow channel. It's about 8 feet deep with submergent grass in there. And I can go up and down the pads, and you'll get blow-ups on every little opening in the pads. Like, you just throw a hollow belly up over top. You don't even have to work it properly. You basically just reel it until you get an open spot and just let it sit there, and poof, they come unglued. And there's nothing more fun than just watching like your bait get swallowed by a fish.
Oh yeah, certainly.
Seeing that boil when they come up for it, dude. It's just, that's what I've been trying to get footage of. It's hard to catch on footage though, because your camera's always pointed in the wrong spot. Like, I swear, topwater, you always get a bite when you look away. Like, when you're looking for where the cast is, all of a sudden you're like, you hear the noise. You don't even see it. You hear that boop, and then you look and you're like, oh.
That's it.
Which actually probably is to my advantage, because I will yank that frog out of their mouth 9 out of 10 times if I see it happen, because I don't have the patience to be like, okay, 1, 2, now go. I'm always like, oh, fish. And then the frog goes right by me.
Yeah.
I
like fishing topwater, but I hate frog fishing.
See, I don't like it. I hate it, but where I fish, there's so much slop that I can't get anything else through it.
Because I like I like to see the top water blow ups, but I'm like you. I'm sitting there watching it pop, 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 and I see the fish, and I go to set the hook and pew, end up hooking me or something, or grabbing all my rods in the back. And that's the reason why I like a buzz bait, because you're reeling that buzz bait, and it's just then you got it. You know, it's just. Yeah, it's
yeah, dude. It's so that's actually why I started going with what I do is the horny toad. So what I'll do is I'll take like a twist lock, like a 4 or 5 EWG twist lock, and I'll hook up a horny toad just straight up, and I won't even hook the hook into it. I'll like pull it around the leg, so it's kind of just sitting between the back legs, because what I find is I get better hookups with that because I'm just casting and reeling it.
Yeah. So
you're already moving when they hit it, so you kind of already have them coming your way. Because the frog, there's something. I actually literally just made a video before we got on today. I got a video of a bass came completely shamu out of the water and straight back down. And the problem is, your brain can't register what's happening fast enough. So you're like, oh, there's a fish. Oh, wait, I should be doing. So you either are really late, or you're like, oh, the water moved near my bait. That means he must have it. But in reality, he's coming in from the side, and you yank that away from him.
Yeah.
So I prefer, like you say, I actually, a lot of the time, would rather drop a Senko through it, trying to punch, than try to fish on top. Because, or the other thing you'll run into is, if you don't have, which I learned the hard way, if you don't have a high enough strength rod, and you set into that fish, and that fish starts wrapping up in those weeds, he's going to get slack, because if you can't basically bushwhack those weeds while you're pulling on him, you're screwed.
Yeah. So this is Jason Starley. He said in the comments while ago, it's Starley. Okay. Jason fishes in the club with us on online stuff. He's from Lake Lanier area up in Middle Georgia. He says they do get some spraying in that lake, but he's not sure if it's done by the DNR or Georgia Power or contracted by the homeowners. So gotcha. I'll take my word back. They do spray some of the Georgia lakes.
See, dude, I'd never heard of it before I really started serious bass fishing. And then I got looking into it, and I was trying to figure out, like, what's the benefit? Like, is there some benefit to it? But, like, I literally have fished places 2 weeks later. And, it's nasty because there's just dead grass everywhere. But it doesn't, like, seem to do much. The places that they spray are just as crappy next spring. The only thing that really saves it here, and I can see we're down by you, it probably is more of a problem because we get ice. So the ice kills it in the wintertime. So come winter, if we get a good winter, any of the shallows become barren of grass because the ice freezes straight to the bottom. So it kills any vegetation. And then further down, the lakes will freeze sometimes a foot or 2 foot, so that submergent grass gets killed down, and then the cold weather kills that grass. It grows right. It's like your lawn. It will grow back in the spring. But, like, I can see where, like, in a southern climate where you're not getting that frost, you're not getting that cold water, it could be a problem. But, like, that's why I just don't understand the whole point of it. You know, like, it's not getting rid of it.
Shane, he says he's talking about frog fishing here. He said if you drop the rod tip, I guess dropping that rod tip would give you enough time to.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because I learned that when I was fishing. When I was fishing horny toads a lot, what I would do is when I first cast it, you know, I'd start reeling it before it hits the water to make sure it skips across the top, and then I would slowly work my rod tip down as it got closer because I noticed the higher I kept it, the more it was like trying to plane out that frog.
Yeah.
And that I do have a better hookup ratio with that, but that also probably is part of it is that my rod tip's down, so I have to kind of come up. It does give you that hesitation because you're kind of going down and then up.
Yeah.
That does make sense.
Yeah, so this is top water frogging and buzz baiting are two different type of.
Yeah, well, buzz baiting is basically top water crankbait.
You're
technique wise,
or spinnerbait, or
it's the same technique. It's just your bait's on top of the water instead of submerging. So because I do a lot of like the closest thing I do to a buzz bait is I get a lot of those like 1 to 3 foot, like the you were talking about the hybrid hunter earlier.
Yeah.
Like those, I'll slow roll those on like weed edges because they basically are that deep, and they just do that the way those hunt, man.
Them things are actually known to use, like if you feel it coming on grass, just pop it through the grass.
Yeah,
So it's supposed to
dude, it's really weird because the shape of that bill looks like it would get hung on every freaking thing you run it through.
Yeah.
Because it's like a straight shot down. But I will tell you, dude, those are the best shallow water. If you're fishing in a place where you've got like 1.5 foot of water on top of grass and you run those through it, even when it hits that grass that's going all the way to the surface, like you said, it'll get hung, but it almost like darts out of it. It doesn't like a square bill will just kind of nose down, and it will like flick up. That stuff like shoots off to the side when you pop it, and it's perfect because it literally, if you watch it in the water, I've seen it like close up, like it'll literally be like it'll be caught, and then it like does like a bait fish would dart away.
Yeah,
they're really cool bait. I actually really like those a lot.
Little Rich, he says it's proven.
Yeah, those things are just.
You've got to have them in you. You know, I was really not a crankbait fisherman until last year. My friend Cleveland Walker fishes. We fish a lot together. Literally, we were fishing. I want to say we were fishing early spring last year, maybe March, early March. And literally 4 casts, 4 fish. He casted that thing 4 times and caught 4 fish. I'm like, dude, what are you throwing?
Yep.
It's like, I'm throwing a Strike King hybrid hunter. I said, where do you buy them at locally? So I was like,
dude, it's funny because that's the other thing about like fishing in general. Like my dad is your standard, loves to troll for trout, salmon, that kind of fisherman. Like even in his kayak, when I take him bass fishing, at some point during the day, he will have 2 poles going out the side of his kayak and he's just trolling because he gets bored with the regular bass fishing stuff. But he catches fish in the weirdest ways. Like one day I told him that I use a belly weighted. So I use the, like the owner belly weighted, the twist lock. They have like the centering pin hooks at the belly weight on them. That's what I fish a lot of my paddle tails on, like the smaller Kayaks, because it comes through the grass really good and it doesn't get too deep. I've started using the 6 Sense axle swim baits. I don't know if you've seen those. Those are pretty good too. But he'll like one day I was telling him, I was like, yeah, I just put Pro Blue Shiner or Green Pumpkin Kayak on a belly weighted swim bait hook, cast it, and slow retrieve it. And he's catching fish after fish after fish. And I'm like, oh, you finally tried that? He's like, yeah, that's what I'm using. No, he was using a fucking tube head with a Kayak shoved up over the front of it to the point where it was up to the eye. And he was fishing it that way. And he was murdering bass when I was fishing the proper technique behind him and couldn't catch a damn thing. So it's like sometimes it's literally just that. It's his presentation was different than mine because he thought that that's what I was using because he saw the weight and the hook and thought that that's what I meant.
Wow. But somebody, I think this is Jason again. He said, wish they made a silent version of the hybrid hunter. So, sometimes
Absolutely.
that rattle just, they won't hit it.
Yep. No, dude, I bought Alex Rudd's hammerhead square bills for that reason, because I have actually had less success with rattling square bills than I have with silent ones. I think the silent ones have enough wobble to them that I don't think they need that
Well, if
Loud
you
beating
look at bait fish, a brim doesn't make a sound underwater.
Right.
You know, if you went to saltwater now, saltwater, you know how shrimp
Yeah.
make a clicking noise.
Right.
Brim don't make any noise. Shad don't make any noise. Herring, a pot of herring or a school of herring, they'll get together and hit their bodies together, and that's what
Okay.
triggers the fish on blue herring lakes. That's the
Okay.
reason why a lipless crankbait on Lake Hartwell is muddy,
That makes sense.
because it's a blue heron lake, because they hit their bodies together.
So I bet
when they're in the
alewives
schools.
probably do that too. Then
Yeah, it's
we have a lot of
crazy.
alewives in Champlain, so that's probably why. It's fun. That's actually funny thing is that's the other thing is, do you use a lot of like 6XDs and like deep diving crankbaits?
I've got a 5XD in my box, just one. But I don't.
See,
I'm
for
not
me, what I've learned in the last year, it's funny because you watch all these YouTube videos. So like, because I make YouTube, people think that like I don't watch a lot of YouTube, but actually, to be honest, half of what I know is from watching people on YouTube.
Oh, certainly.
And everybody talks about like the 6XD or the Berkeley Dredger. I use a lipless. Like I use a lipless for deep fishing. Like I'll throw a 1/2 ounce or 3/4 ounce lipless or rattle trap or whatever. You know, I just say lipless because it's the generic term. But like a lot of times I'm throwing like a Berkeley War Pig or old school rattle trap, and I just cast it the first time. I count it down. I wait till the line blows out so I know how long it took to get to the bottom, and I know that's how fast it's diving. And then I just cast it and I go 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's 3 feet. And then I start reeling and I just slow roll it and point my rod tip down. And in my opinion, I actually made a video on this not that long ago that you guys won't see for a couple months because of how my schedule works. But I like the lipless better because I can control how deep it goes. Whereas those divers, they say 10 to 12. They're going 6. They say 12 to 15. They're maybe going 12. And then if you're using fluoro, it's going to go this deep. If you're using mono, it's going to go that deep. If you turn, like I hate the fact that I have to do a lot of math. I have too much ADD to do that kind of math to figure out where the frick that bait is going to. Whereas if I can count it down, I can get a good idea about roughly where it is. And then I can just basically know roughly where I'm fishing that thing. And then it kind of comes up at an angle anyways.
That's right.
Constant switch between salad, hard knocks, clear baits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Water clarity has a big factor on it, I will admit. Yeah, if you're fishing.
You're talking about we've got another storm brewing out here in the ocean again.
Yep.
Hurricane Lee, if y'all don't know about it, it's supposed to be a Category 5 and make a north turn towards y'all tonight. It's going to make a
Is it coming up this way? Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So if we get a chance to fish the pressure before the hurricane or after the hurricane, when that pressure, let me tell you, pressure is the thing to pay attention to.
You know what's funny is that's actually the of all the things on the FishFin app, that's probably the thing I actually cared the most about.
Oh yeah,
The forecast, being able to look at the pressure, like being able to take like the log of fish and have it log all that data. I've learned a lot about looking at, because everybody knows, or I can't say everybody knows. Fishermen know that right before a storm or right after a storm is one of the best times to fish. But that was always just like, there was never any science behind that. It was just, that's what your dad told you. And that's what your grandfather told him. But what you find out is that's because that's when the barometric pressure spiked or dropped. And that's when those fish felt that barometric pressure. So like knowing that from an app, being able to jump that, because that's what I've learned is I've actually started data tracking a lot. Do you keep like a log for your fish catches, or do you just kind of
I kind of keep it in my mind. Because a lot of the stuff a lot of places I fish, I kind of go back, if I'm going to go back there in three weeks, or I'm going to start off with it and see if they're biting that. If not, then it's going to come out, you're going to have to figure out what they're biting, because it's you can't go back to the same place and they're going to bite a
Nope.
trick worm
Well,
all day.
so actually, yes and no. So here's what I'm learning. Here's what I'm learning from noting. So doing YouTube has helped me on a couple of different factors. And it's something that I actually recommend anyone who's not even planning on doing YouTube. If you buy yourself a cheap GoPro and just record yourself while you're fishing, right?
Yeah.
You gain little insight. So what I'm learning is, so when I catch my fish, I'm doing it for the content, for the viewers, and I'll be like, yeah, I caught this on a black and blue Senko using a Harmony hook, casting against weed edges. I'll say that for the content. But then I've started being able to then, when I'm editing, I have an Excel sheet open up and I document it so that I can keep track of it. And what I've learned is you're not going to be able to on any given day go to the same lily pad and catch a fish on it. But what you can do when you start documenting stuff is you can start learning, okay, when the wind is coming out of the north and it's partly cloudy and there's this barometric pressure, the black and blue Senko on lily pads seems to work for me over the last 3 years. When you start compiling that data, it helps me to pick where I'm going to fish, because I have I'm privileged enough to have within close to my house. I'll drive 4 hours to fish a tournament in the morning.
Yeah.
I'll leave my house at 2:00 in the morning to fish a tournament in Massachusetts. But like, what it does is it allows me to go, okay, well, if the wind's going to be this direction and it's going to be cloudy and it's going to be, that's why I like that FishFin app, is I can look at all those stats and go, okay, so normally I catch a lot of fish with these conditions on this lake using this technique. So then I pack extra of that technique, or that's what I start with. And then it kind of helps you give a starting point and then jump off from there.
That's
Even
right.
that being said, you go there with the intention of catching a fish on a black and blue, and then you're going to catch on June bug because the fish are like, we're not going to do what you want us to do.
Yeah.
Or you're going to end up catching on something entirely different. But.
Yeah. Shane says pressure is the key factor in fish bite. Note the pressure and wind speed.
Yep.
Of course.
Dude, it's funny because I never thought of that too. Like, I never thought about the fact that, like, when there's no wind, the fish are harder to catch.
I learned something this past year, fishing Lake Hartwell. When we fished it during the dead of the winter, January, it was 29 degrees that morning.
Ooh.
The coldest I've ever been on the water.
So
Had to dip the water, the eyes in the water to keep it from freezing.
That was like me in March.
Yeah. So, but the wind was blowing into this cove that we were fishing. The cove, I would say, probably about the opening of the cove was probably 250 yards long. Had two good points that come out on it. It fed into the cove. The only bait that I caught fish on that day was a lipless crankbait.
Dude, cold water lipless?
Yes.
Solid.
And the wind was blowing bait fish off the point into the cove.
Yep.
And I caught all the fish in the middle of the run of the cove and probably 20 foot of water.
See, it's funny because that's something that I learned too, and that's something that's a good little trick. You just pointed it out, but like what I do when I'm fishing for my kayak, when the wind is blowing, I'll pedal into the wind when I get there. First thing I do when I get to a lake, I'll paddle into the wind as far as I feel like I want to go, and then ride the wind back. One, because it's less energy to come back, but also, if you think about it logically, bass aren't stupid. So what they're doing, they're riding the current down. They set up on structure, and they wait for the bait fish to be pushed to them, because those small brim can only fight that current for so long, and then they've got to go where the water's taking them. And when they go to eat, they're eating algae and phytoplankton and all that crap. That crap is just going where the water's going because it's just floating in the water. So they're following their food source. So if you go to where the waves meet some sort of structure, so a grass edge, tree line, a bank, a bay, if the water is funneling into a bay and that's the way the current's going, those bass are in that bay and they're waiting. And when they're ready to eat, they're just waiting for stuff to come by their face. So that's when you go in there And that's a lot of times what I'll do is I'll literally just ride the current and I'll cast, which really sucks because you bird's nest a lot, but I'll cast into the wind and then slow roll my bait and I'm pulling it right the direction.
That's how we fish the rivers a lot down here is just you catch that current break coming around a bend or a tree log or a set of cypress. I did one when I fished Ebenezer a couple weeks ago. I was kind of showing some guys that's never fished rivers and creeks, the current break and how to catch fish. And I throw a weightless trick worm. That's all I'm gonna throw in the rivers. Weightless trick worms, Texas rig, and let it float in that current. And when it hits that current break, if that line twitches, you better set the hook.
Well, and the beauty of that too is those trick worms, they float, they sink slow enough where the current's just going to do all the work for you. You don't have to impart any action. You just let it go. You use anything weighted, even a Senko, it's going to sink too fast and it's going to just get stuck in the rock.
Yeah.
That's funny. Do you guys have like a tournament? Like, do you do tournaments all year, or is there like a tournament season and then you guys?
Our own lines they're ending in October, so we'll run it from February to October. It was this year.
Okay.
Next year we're backing up a month, just because of just a holiday. You know, I feel like if people fish year round, they're not, they're too worried about fishing, not worried about holidays coming up and stuff like that.
See, what happens up here is everything, most tournament trails end at the end of September because up here, bow hunting starts October 1st.
Yeah, see, bow hunting starts here this weekend coming up.
Oh, does it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get, which is honestly my favorite time of the year to fish.
Yeah, because less people on the water.
Bear hunting already started, and I can tell you right now, there's a lot less boats already after Labor Day. Labor Day is like the line in the sand where the fishermen continue, and the guys who are just going out for the hell of it stop. Right, that Labor Day weekend, man.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Mike, we've been going to about an hour and 15 minutes now. So, hit us up on the next podcast, y'all. We'll be live week after next. Let me give you a date. It'll be September 21st. Me and Mike will be back.
One thing I want to put out there, anybody that's watching, anybody who's watching this after the fact, message us. We both have Instagram. Hit us up on YouTube. Comment on our videos. If you have a topic you want us to talk about, if you have somebody that you think would be cool to see on a live, have them reach out to us. We're happy to bring on guests and have them talk. The point of this whole live stream stuff for me is an excuse to talk fishing. So if you guys have something you want to learn about, a technique, a style of fishing, any of that stuff, even if I don't know how, I know enough guys in the industry that I can call and get some information on it. So, I want to provide something that you guys feel like you're getting a value from, but also this isn't going to be as you probably have already noticed, a structured, this is the format we're going to follow. It's going to be like two dudes sitting at the boat ramp talking about fishing. That's more of our mentality and our speed. So, but if you guys have topics or ideas or things that you want us to go over, I do know I've got a tournament coming up in a couple of weeks. And anytime we do tournaments or we know of tournaments that are going on, we'll definitely do some recaps and talk about stuff like that. And, there's a lot of little things coming up that we're going to talk about for sure. But if you guys have suggestions, hit us up. We're more than happy to, bring topics up that people want to talk about. To be honest, this time of year, start to rack my brain on even what to make content because
probably the next topic is we're going to bring up next time, Mike. Forward-facing sonar. As everybody's seen on YouTube, everybody's talking about forward-facing sonar, about Bassmasters. I'm doing away with it.
So that's a hot button, and I'm happy to talk about that one because I'll tell you, I compete against guys with it, and I have my own opinions on it. But
I have my own opinion from it too, and I've used it before on my uncle's boat, and I'll give my opinion as well on it.
Yep. So there you go, guys. If you want a reason to watch the next video, we'll make that the next topic for the next video is forward-facing sonar. Absolutely.
Yep.
All right. Well, guys, I think that's going to do it for us. We'll be back next week. We'll have some guests on. We'll have some fun. 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 We'll
Once again, thank you for joining the May Contain Fishing podcast.
Still getting used to the name.
Yes, I'm used to saying SEGKBF, man,
Yep.
and it's hard, but MCF, how about that? We'll call it MCF.
Yeah, MCF, absolutely.
And so enjoy your night, enjoy your family, stay safe, and fish on.